And we'll just stay on drama for a minute before we move on. What are you watching at the moment? What do you like? What do you and
it's so varied. I mean, I have to say, in the old days, I keep on saying this, but when there were only 3 channels, you'd go, should we watch that, that, or that? Now you can watch, as we know, anything, and also you can watch the oeuvre of an entire person in one night. You can sit and watch 5 episodes, 8 episodes of something. So it's very difficult. And I quite often like things like, come dine with me. Because I can't believe it, you know what I mean? It's a kind of, it's paradise on a stick. You go, oh, I adore this, I adore this. Look how hateful they're being. Look how smug that person is. They've made something disgusting. They're going, I think I'll win. And you go, no, you won't win. I also like Gogglebox, because I've made friends. I think I've made friends, like all of us, with all the people watching. I don't want them to be changed or added to. I just want those people. I know them. I like them sitting in their places. I like to predict what their reactions will be. I love those. And I like travel programs.
We're going to come on to those in a minute.
All right.
Yeah. And if you were commissioning drama, if you were the head of ITV or BBC One or Channel 4, what would you commission? What do you, in the world, thinking of drama, obviously you've gone quite lowbrow quite quickly on Gogglebox.
Yes. Well, look, I tell you what it is. I think this is the case. We wouldn't have Tom Stoppard or David Hare. We wouldn't have Alan Ayckbourn or anybody. If those writers always had to write a series, these people write plays. And I would love to see brought back again a kind of, there used to be the Wednesday play, play of the month, play of the week. There used to be a play. It used to be a drama. I think it should be 2 hours long. Which is usually, you can even take a West End play and trim it and cut it and take out the interval, and that would usually fit in. Robert Powell and I had put together a company 25 years ago, and we thought, this is what we will do. We will actually take 10 of the best West End plays which nobody's ever seen outside the West End, who hadn't got the money, make them into things. Because they're in the nature of a play, they will never go outside, so cheapo. We'll get local, we'll get the best directors in the world. And I said to all, we went to the best directors in the world and said, will you all sign up? And they all said yes. We went to all the actors, starting with, those days it was Judi Dench, people like Kevin Spacey who were in charge. We said, if you do a show for us and it's only £5 will you do it? They all went, yep. So we got the best actors, the best directors. We said, we will get all the costumes made by drama schools, costume schools, St Martin's School of Art. We'll do it all in the studios because we can get back protection. None of it will go outside. I took it to the BBC and said, ain't this tasty? And they said, no, it's not what we want. I understand that now because it isn't what they wanted. But I wanted. I now wanted. I want to see dramas. I want to see dramas. And I don't want it always to be the first of a series because that is a very different skill in writing. I'd like to see kind of films. I'd like to see that. Would you like to see that? Am I mad? Would you like to sit and watch one thing and not have to know that you've got to set the machine to record the next 7 or 8? I'd just like to see one thing, one off.
Except for unless you're a young actress who thinks, oh God, it's just one off. But anyway, when you're working as an actor, what's a good thing for a producer and director to do? Because you must have worked with, obviously on the New Avengers, they let you have quite a lot of editorial input. You changed the name, you chose the hairstyle.
Well, no, that was it. That was all I changed. That was before I began. You don't usually get much. Sometimes you do, and they say some writers are very good and say, look, if it doesn't feel easy, just say what feels good in your mouth, particularly if you're doing modern day dramas where people are just speaking to sound like people. Some people don't want a word changed. Some producers have got particularly set ideas about things, and quite often as an actor, vainly probably, you proudly think you kind of have got under the skin of your character and you'd like to do something. There's got to be a little bit of give and take. I think the director must have the whip hand, because otherwise it becomes a bit anarchical and then everybody has a go at it all. It doesn't really work. I found the oddest thing was producing. I produced with the great Verity Lambert. We did 6 episodes of what was to be an 18-episoder called The Cazalet Chronicles. The Cazalets, it was shortened to, and it was quite sensational. But as the producer, I realised that the actors didn't want me hanging around their trailers and just being what I usually was as an actor, just going, hi, doing anything, just popping in, because they froze, because I was the other side. So I've always thought maybe producers are always in that position. They're the headmaster, and you're in the fourth form when you're an actor. I don't know how we get over that, whether we should get over it. I think you've got to be able to go to the producers and say, these things are going wrong, or can you give a bit more time on this? I think producers have got to be the headmasters, and the directors have somehow got to be somebody in the upper sixth who you trust. This is pathetic. Can you see how Enid Blyton runs my life?
So after drama, or drama comedies that we saw in the New Avengers, you were popping along, and that's when we met, when you did the full wax. And is it true, I'm never quite sure if it's true, do you think was it that first sketch that helped get the role as Patsy, or were the two things were happening at the same time?
I think, well, Ruby had come to see me in a play called Vanilla, which was on in Shaftesbury Avenue. And the play wasn't a huge success. It was a comedy, but it was sort of, it was directed by Harold Pinter, and he didn't like the play or the writer, so a little bit sad. So that put a bit of a strain on us. Fabulous cast. I thought it was funny. It didn't work. We were only around for about 3 weeks. Ruby came to see it, and she came backstage. I'd never met her. I knew who she was. And she said, I want you to work with me. You can work with me, then you should work with French and Saunders, but you've got to work with me first. So she put my name out. Jennifer always says that it was Adrian Edmondson, her husband, who said you should try Joanna Lumley for Patsy. I don't know how it got there, but maybe I'd sort of got onto the radar a bit of them.
And how was that first? Because Jennifer, for those of us who know her, is quite a terrifying person, really, in when you first meet her, because if she doesn't like something, she'll say, I don't really like that. And if she really likes something, she'll go, yeah, that's really good. And so if you're a producer or an actor or an assistant producer or something, we're all sort of hanging around, just sort of trying to work out what the muttering is. And so how was that initial meeting with her?
Well, she hadn't really put any guidelines down as to what she wanted Patsy to be apart from Eddie's friend. And so the pilot episode just had us sitting in the back of the taxi. We tried it out in seats, sitting side by side with John Plowman, the producer, just the three of us in a room. And I read the part of Patsy, and there was not a smile on Jennifer's lips. It seemed quite funny. It seemed the writing was from paradise. When the script arrived in my lap, I couldn't believe it. It was so funny. So unbelievably funny and wicked. Against the times, because in those days, at the end of a family show, usually everybody going, oh, all right, Mum, you know, it was a bit sort of sweet. Here, these people were ghastly, and that made me laugh a lot. But I couldn't see who Patsy really was. So we sort of tried stuff, and Jennifer wasn't amused, and I went home. And I know I've told this story before, but it's true. I rang up my agent at the time and said, she's very shy and she doesn't communicate a lot, so I don't know, but I know that she doesn't really like me. She'll obviously not know how to sack me, so can I just say, I'm so sorry, I don't think I'm right for the part, and pull out of it now, because it's going to be agony. My agent at the time said, it's $3,000, it's a pilot, do it. This is how things begin, darling.
And so so obviously we'll talk about Patsy again in a minute, but you've done different types of comedy. You've done comedy which is written by a writer, performer, director like Jennifer, where she writes it, performs it, owns it, and is in it. And then you've done comedies which are written by a team of writers. Do you think there's one way that makes for a better comedy, or is it what's the?
I tell you what makes for good is the writer being there. I was Harold's. What was his name? God, what was Harold? What was the Steptoe's son's? What's the son called? What was the son of Steptoe's son called?
Harold?
No, Harold was the old man, wasn't he? Albert.
Albert.
I love you, and I'm ashamed of myself. I was Albert's girlfriend on one of those things. And Ray Galton and Alan Simpson turned up at every single rehearsal, standing there with their pads, scribbling, watching a note, seeing what lines were easy to say, weren't so easy to say, were hard. Wilfred Bramble was brilliant. He used to turn up lilac handkerchief, lilac socks, and a pearl grey suit, immaculate, beautifully coiffed, immaculately shaved, smart teeth in. And for the old man, he had to take out his teeth and put in horrid teeth and be scruffly hair and put on his old clothes with holes in his elbows, and he hated that. He hated that. Sometimes he took a glass to cheer himself up because he hated doing that, old man, funnily enough. Anyway, the truth is they were there. Jennifer was always there. Jennifer could see, here, write something extra in. Ruby's always there, find something funnier. People have got to be there. There's no use sending in the script like that. I did a play with Alan Ayckbourn, written by Alan Ayckbourn, directed by Alan Ayckbourn. And that's when you didn't put a breath in the wrong place, because he knew how it would sound. He was the only person I've really worked with, apart from Harold, who won't have you change a breath. He's thought it out, he's got it right, he does it, so that's it. But mostly there's a flexibility, and you can find it, sometimes you can find a bit of something that works a bit better. In America, they'll try out a show 3 times. You'll do it on day 1, they do the rewrites, you do it on the next day in the afternoon, they do more rewrites, then you do it to a live audience in the evening, then they get the scissors in. Fascinating.
Because Patsy famously is one of the few characters that's walked from one sitcom into another, because Patsy was in Roseanne, wasn't she, for one episode? Wasn't she?
Yes, she was. Patsy and Adina were in Roseanne. The Devil's Wife or something, I don't know.
That's Roseanne, or the name of the episode?
No, it was a Halloween kind of episode, and Roseanne had fallen in love with Jennifer Saunders, and she thought it was so funny. Get those girls over here, be on this show. And so we went over to do the show. It was literally awesome. I could write a 4-volume book on that 1 week with Roseanne Barr. But they do things differently in America, and I couldn't admire American comedy more. I think they are sensational. Modern Family, I think, is as good. It's just awesome. Apart from all the other funny, slick things they do. Things like that are bang.